anything done, anything done with women and for women has a ripple effect of multiplying. So it's indeed a privilege and honor to be a facilitator here today. So today, over the period of 1.5 hours, I'll be speaking to us about product development and operations management. So based on what I have, our learning focus or what we intend to get out of this session are as follows. We would be able to know how to identify a market need, how to research the competition, how to develop a product roadmap, commercialization, product management, supply chain management, managing assets, managing inventory effectively, sourcing your raw material, collaborating with suppliers and distributors. This is a lot. So what I've done is to essentially break everything down into 3 segments, and then please, these sessions will be as interactive as possible. So I'll be calling on us randomly and asking for participation as we go, so that the session can be much more productive. So in the first session, I'll be talking about things that you need to put in your consideration before you start building a product. And you see, I also explained to us why I have business in brackets at the end of each of these sentences, because a product does not exist on its own. A product helps to drive a business. So it's the input for the business. So if you get your business right, you most likely will get your product right. And if you get your product right, you most likely will get your business right. The second part, I'll speak to us about what to think about and focus on whilst we are building a product. And then the third part, I'll speak to you about things to pay attention to after you may have built your product. I will try as much as possible to finish this up in 1 hour, so we can have 30 minutes for questions and any other engagements. Okay, so let's go to the first part. So essentially, right, you are an individual and God created you in his own image. So when you're a product manager, you are creating something. So you are playing the role of God, essentially. And what that means is that your product and your business is going to be an extension of you. So you cannot, your output and your outcomes cannot be completely different from your person. Your DNA, your essence will find expression in whatever it is that you do. The question really then is, who are you? I know if I ask us right now to say, who are you? So maybe let me just call someone, or will someone volunteer to just tell me, who are you? If you hear that, how would you respond? Okay, Koforola.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the question is in 2 ways, depending on how it's been asked. So basically, if it's for business purpose, I'll go by first addressing myself, like my name, and also telling them the name of my company, and after then them a bit about my company. So that's basically what I can say about who I am.
Okay, thank you very much, Koforola. So 99% of the time, when we are asked the question, who are you? What we readily respond to is what we are, not who we are. who you are is something that borders on your essence. It is the why behind what you do. It is who you are when nobody is looking. It is you when all your labels have been stripped off. It is you when you are afraid. It is you when you have the things you longed for. There are things that sometimes you can't even quantify, right? So, sorry, please give me 1 minute. Sorry. Sorry for that. So, the next couple of minutes, we are going to play a couple of games, and the questions or the things I'm going to be showing you, there are no correct answers and there are no wrong answers. And the idea is not for you to answer them here, just note them because I'm building up to something, okay? So I'm going to come back to this content here about what you see in the marketplace, okay? So look at this. So let me define this. First and foremost, how many of us have read the book Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell? If we have not read it, please go and look for that book. It's a great book to read. Because it will help to drive your mind and open up your mind to certain possibilities. As a matter of fact, I always tell anybody who is doing business to read all of Malcolm Gladwell's books. So go and read Tipping Point, go and read Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. Go and read David and Goliath. Those three books are extremely crucial for you because they will help to open up your mind. So let's describe who a maven is. And we know people like this. So a maven is someone that knows a lot about a lot of things. Do we know people like that? That they just seem to know things. If you are going somewhere, you will call them. They know the restaurant to go to. If you want to buy clothes, they know the seller that will give you the price and all of those things. I'm sure we know people like that. And some of us here, we are even the mavens. Our friends call us when they need anything, right? There is also the connector. Who is the connector? The connector is someone who just somehow seems to know a lot of people. If you find yourself in a circle of friendship where you realize that all of you just connect back to one person, or if you sit down and you trace your circle of friendship right now to say, I know this person from this other person. Oh, and this other person I met him or her through this other person, right? That's where a connector is. Who is a salesperson? A salesperson knows how to convince every other person to do what they want. They know how to sell an idea. Okay. As you're going through this, understand that where you fall in this category would determine the type of business you should do, the type of products you should even build, and more importantly, if you should even be doing business, if you should be an entrepreneur in the first place. Because a lot of times we think that entrepreneurship and business is for everybody. The simple truth is it is not for everybody. And there is nothing wrong with not being a business person. And there is nothing wrong with being a regular 9-to-5 person for as long as you find expression for your skill sets and your capacities, right? So put this, I'm going to send us another thing again. And then this time around, I want 5 volunteers to, I want 4 volunteers to help me with the next diagram I'm going to put up, right? Again, like I said, there are no correct answers and there are no wrong answers. So I need 4 volunteers. Which are you? A rebel, a ritualist, a non-conformist, or a conformist? Okay, I see Koforola again. Is there an award for people that are very active? Okay, so I see Adi. Okay, so
Okay, I'm a non-conformist.
you're a non-conformist.
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. So Koforola, let's hold that thought. Adi's agro.
I'm a conformist. I
A
choose
conformist.
I don't want to choose rebel or ritualist.
Okay, Helen. Helen, please unmute your device so you can speak.
Can I speak,
Can you
Azuka?
can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
From the list, I am a salesperson because I can convince others to buy what I sell, and I can sell ideas to them.
Great. Okay, so do you want to respond to this second part? This one?
No, yes.
Okay, so which are you?
I'm a conformist.
You're a
I'm not
conformist.
a rebel. I'm not a ritualist. I'm a conformist, yes.
Okay.
Can I respond, Azuka?
Thank you. Yeah, Okonjo Anwulika. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's Anwulika, yeah.
Okay.
So on the top, I'm a connector, although I usually call it curator. And then is it possible to be both a rebel and a nonconformist? Because
Yes, it is possible.
Yeah, I think I'm sort of a combination of the two, depending on the circumstance. So rebel and nonconformist.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why everyone's running from rebel.
I've realized that nobody has said anything about being a ritualist. Okay, so Azuka, your hand is up. Tell me.
Okay, so for me, in the upper part, I'm a maven.
Great.
I know that, and people call me, and somehow I just seem to know, even when I didn't even think I knew. But the moment they ask me, the idea just comes. I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm able to like say yeah. So, but the other one, I'm just thinking. Mm, I know I'm not a conformist though, but somehow I can't find myself in the other one. So I guess I'm more conformist than I realize.
Interesting. Good.
Yeah.
All right.
I ask me, I would think I'm a rebel, but looking at the definitions, I seem to be a conformist.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Can you be a ritualist and an entrepreneur? Because for me, like when I think of entrepreneurship, I think of like, pushing the boundaries and doing something new. So if you accept if you accept the definition and you accept how things are done without asking questions, that probably means that you don't see any need or room to change things. So how can you be a ritualist and an entrepreneur?
You can. I would get to it and explain how it plays out in our personalities and in our expression. It's possible. Aminat. Aminat, please unmute your device.
Yes, sir.
So which are you?
Live.
Sorry?
Okay. You want to iron? Yeah.
I don't think
Okay, I
she's
think we
here.
should move on.
Yes.
So I would take one more. Ify.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so I think I am definitely a connector. My joy is to bring ideas and information together and definitely to distribute it to people. I like to work in the background. And then I am also a rebel because I don't like to accept. In fact, one of my biggest issues in life is they classify me as a very stubborn person because I'm always arguing about something. So I'm definitely a rebel and a connector.
Great. All right. So I'm sorry I won't be able to take everybody, but let me just give us the perspective of this, and then we can all situate it in our personal lives and experiences, right? So being a rebel is not, none of this is bad. Being a rebel just means that when you are told something, when they tell you this is how it is done, this is what it's supposed to be, something inside you just says no. Now, the people that drive change are usually rebels and non-conformists, because they are the people that come into a space, into a place, they see how things are done, and they are like, we can do it differently. We can do it better. Or why are we even doing it this way? I mean, if you look at the entire gospel of technology, think about the hospitality industry. For a very long time, you had the big hotel chains, right? And one day somebody woke up and started Airbnb. And in less than 1 year, has more assets than all the hotel chains put together. For a very long time, traditional businesses couldn't get to $1 trillion valuation. All of a sudden, Apple shows up and boom, $1 trillion. So technology and businesses in the technology and digital space showed up, and they behaved like rebels and non-conformists because they looked at the existing order and said no to it. Now, that does not mean that every entrepreneur has to be on a change drive. You need people that keep the wheel grinding. There are some people that their nature, they like predictability. A rebel and a non-conformist is someone that likes to experiment. This person will get bored easily if they are doing the same thing every time. What keeps them going is the idea of something new, something different. That is just who they are. That is their nature. These are the type of people you will see them in careers like marketing. You will see them in careers like sales. It is from the crop of these people that CEOs come out from. A lot of them end up being activists, political activists. They will lead revolution. Those are the type of people you would see that have this type of personality trait. And you will also find that expression in the type of products that they build. They are the type of people that will build a product that will take down an existing industry and completely bring it down to ruins, because they are always thinking about how else can it be done? What else can we do? Why should it be done this way? They are the type of people that anytime you say anything, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is why. They question everything, okay? Now, the ritualists and the conformists. So a ritualist is just someone who likes predictability. This person wants to do the same thing they did yesterday. So When the rebels and the non-conformists set up new things and they need those things to keep functioning in a particular way, you need the wheel to keep grinding day in, day out. The ritualists and the conformists are the people that you bring in. You will find them in audit, you will find them in accounting, you will find them in operations, you will find them in internal control. They are the ones that ensure that 1 + 1 remains 2. If the world is completely run by rebels and non-conformists, nothing will stay stable. The rebel can start something today, tomorrow he wants to go off to something else. He needs to be able to hand it over to people whose personality traits allow them to stay put in one place, right? So that's why I said none of this is bad. No answer is wrong. No answer is right. It is for you to understand what is peculiar about you, because your peculiarity is what will find expression in your business. If you are a connector, you already know the type of business you should do. If you are not a connector and you, for example, go into the entertainment industry, or you go into the hospitality industry, or you go into food, restaurants in Lagos, and you're not a connector, you know that that business is going to suffer, because those businesses thrive heavily on relationships. Do you understand? So there are certain products you shouldn't even try to build or think about if your personality traits cannot support what is required to deliver it. I give you a case. All of us saw Hilda Baci for the Guinness World Record that she set. Nobody has been able to pull off what she did. What you are seeing there is the power of a connector, because she leveraged multiple networks and relationships to deliver that thing. So somebody will just sit down somewhere and say, is it not cooking? Me too, I can cook. But trust me, Lagos is not going to stand up for you, because you don't have the relationship leverage to make it happen. So as you start off your journey or continue your journey in product development, in entrepreneurship, in business, you must always keep at the back of your mind, who are you really? Can your essence support the business path or the trajectory you are going on? If it cannot, is there something you can do about it to change it to align with where you are going? Because at the end of the day, you are going to produce a product or a business that has your DNA in it. So it's very important that you keep that at the back of your mind. What do you see in the marketplace? Do you see opportunities or problems? I read once in a book how 2 guys went to a land that they don't wear shoes at all. These 2 guys were salesmen from a shoe factory. One person said, oh my goodness, they don't wear shoes here. So, I mean, they don't wear shoes. How are we supposed to sell business? And called HQ to say, no, this place is bad for business. The other person said, oh my God, they don't wear shoes here. Boom, I need to get them to wear shoes. The same thing, but 2 different views. If you walk into a place, what do you see? Do you see opportunities or do you see problems? If you see opportunities, then chances are high that you've conditioned and wired yourself to be able to spot and recognize opportunities at a whim, and therefore more of it will open up to you. So to wrap this part up, a lot of us will always answer the question, who we are, by responding to what we are. And this is my generic definition of what we are. You are always the product of your existing value plus the extractable value from your circle of influence. Meaning, when you think about yourself today, everything you are today is you plus everything you were able to extract from your circle of relationship. But guess what? When you look at that you in that equation, you standing alone, that you is actually the sum total of everything you've been able to extract from every relationship you've had up until that time. Starting from birth, you were able to extract love, compassion, care from a family, from someone you call father and mother, and you were able to extract an education from them. You were put into a family, you were put into a network of people, your uncles, you had friends, acquaintances, you were able to extract an education from them, you were able to extract shelter, you were able to extract nourishment from them. So when you look at yourself standing alone, really, really, you are worth nothing standing alone. And you will see the import of this when we start talking about relationship management in the business model canvas, because everything you are going to do with people. So you must understand the value of people and understand that everything that you are looking for on earth, your deliverance, everything you are looking for on earth is in the hand of someone. God is never going to come down himself to give you anything, right? And I like that this is a company of women. One of the things I hear a lot is, I don't know if they are using me, or I really want to know if what I'm worth to this person, or what are they using me for? So, there are certain things that men don't bother about, but they are important to women. So I thought to just drop this here. If you really want to know who you are or the value people place on you, check what they ask you to do with your time. Why? Because in life, everybody spends time in connection to their objective, what they want. That is what they spend their time on. You are here today because you want something out of the time you've allotted to this. If it is not important for you, you will not be here. Do you understand? So if you are in doubt as to the value people place on you or as to how they estimate you, look at what they ask you to do with your time. Now, let me push this a bit further. Your real value is in how you do what you do with your time. Meaning, I may come across you and I don't necessarily know you, and I'm judging this book by its cover, right? And then I ask you to do something. That thing might be beneath, above, or equal to your value. I've asked you to put your time in something. However, because you are mindful of yourself, you know who you are, you know what your substance and capacity is, you decide to do it in a way and manner that is consistent with your own value. And hopefully, that estimation of yourself, of your own value, it surpasses what me, who is meeting you for the first time, that does not know you, as projected in my mind. So what I'm trying to say to you is, if you are ever confused as to what identity is for you, the first thing you should look at is check what people ask you to do with your time. It is really just that simple. Do we have any questions here before I move on? Go for it.
Okay, sir. So I want to ask a question, and
Right.
the question is now going back to you because I want to ask you, so who are you?
Myself?
Yes.
I'm everything you are seeing here, depending on which day of the week or what side of my head or what I'm required to do.
Okay. So if somebody should see me and ask
Okay.
me this, so am I supposed to also respond with this kind of like response that you just gave me?
No, it is for you to know. It is that information is FYI. It is not for people. when people ask you who you are, what they are really asking you is, what are you? What do you have to offer? Your labels. Do you understand? But you hold yourself the responsibility of understanding the essence of your being, because that is where everything you are going to do is going to proceed from. Do you understand? I've heard a lot of you here say things like, oh, you like to connect, okay? Somebody here said, oh, I'm very stubborn. I just like to question everything. Of course, when someone asks you, who are you? You are not going to say, I'm a stubborn person. You are going to go on to say, oh, my name is this, I'm the CEO of this, and that, and all of that. But you, when no one is there to ask you, when you sit down and you need to talk to yourself and you need to make decisions about your life, you're about to put your entire time into building a product and building a business. That thing cannot be far from the essence of your being. It must be connected to your being one way or the other. Otherwise, you will spend so much time to arrive at a place of dissatisfaction. Does that answer your question, Kuforola?
Yeah, so to my knowledge, it's like a question on your self-discovery, like who are you?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Abibat.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you very much for that wonderful explanation. We really appreciate that. So my question is that, yes, my question is that concerning this talked about, if you want to know who you are, check what people actually do with your time. So that is where I have issue with. I would like you to like shed more light on that. Actually, I understand what you have talked about so far, and I can say that it has actually added to my knowledge and experience. Thank you. But just let me shed more light on this. Like, what do you mean by that? Well, what is your concept?
Okay, so it is very simple, right? So Abibat, if you are hungry, who do you call?
Of course, I call perhaps the history, I just walk into the kitchen to cook myself. I think that is it.
Okay, good. Let's assume you have a chef, right? You are going to call that chef, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Anytime you are hungry, you call that chef. You don't call a doctor, do you?
No.
Exactly. So that is the way life is. Everybody spends time based on what they want, right? So if, for example, in the family, anytime there is problem, you are the one they call. It just means you are the peacemaker. You may not know, but suddenly, anytime there is problem in the house, you are the one they call. Everybody calls you. You are the one that is settling issues at every point in time. So you are the peacemaker. Or, no offense, guys, we always feel like we are the ATM for women because they always call us when they need money. So we've just primed our head to say, well, we are the ATM, we are human ATM. What I'm trying to say here is that the question of identity sometimes can be, so let me call it self-awareness or self-discovery. Sometimes it can be confusing. And when you're at that place where you are not clear, what you should start watching is watch what people ask you to do with your time, because I'm not going to come and ask you to do something that I know you cannot do. For example, I was called to facilitate this session because the host perceives correctly or incorrectly that I can do it. Do you understand? If this host calls me tomorrow to say they are having a yam pounding festival tomorrow, and because I am CEO and they think that CEOs must know how to pound yam, and they say I should come and pound yam, I'm going to start asking the host, sorry, what do you take me for? Like, how, where? What did you see or what did you hear about me that makes you think I can pound yam? Do you understand? So if I were to judge my identity by my interaction with Nest Innovation Hub, I will say, oh, I'm a great speaker because they always call me to come and talk, because that's what they call me for. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that is the principle, that is the thinking. It is to help you think through or navigate that complex maze of identity and awareness. Okay. Nwane Nwonu, I'm sorry, forgive me if I'm not calling your names correctly. Just choose to forgive me ahead of time today, please.
No, that's fine. So my name is Wan.
Right. Okay. All right.
I just wanted to contribute to Habibat's question in terms of how do you introduce yourself in different scenarios, in different circumstances. So if it's a business forum, you've gone to like a business conference, an event, it's fine to introduce yourself by saying your name and what you do, the work that you do. But then there are other scenarios, and so I would use myself as an example. And I think maybe just because of the place I am in my self-awareness journey and I have identified who I am able to introduce myself, and not just by my work identity, but who I really am, by saying I can introduce myself as, hi. If they call for everyone to do an introduction, I'm like, hi, my name is Wane. I am the light of the world. I am the salt of the earth. And then I can also mention that I am a solution provider. I am a dot connector. That would now trigger people to ask specific questions about what they want to know about me. There are times where I just give one instance, depending on where I am and how I feel that day, or I am the light of the world, and I end it there. There are days where I go on and I describe myself in the whole entirety of being a solution provider and a dot connector. And then people can now come to me to try to find out specific things that they would like to know about me based on the conversation that we're having. I hope that helps everybody, and Habibat specifically, because of you asked that question for how you introduce yourself in different scenarios.
Thank you very much. That's very that's quite enlightening. And you know what's funny? You know, when the host was reading out my profile, it says that I'm a business development strategist. It is a fancy way of saying I'm jack of all trades, master of all. And I can say that because I have mastered what is required to be a great business person, because I understand that it's in the strategy. But there are places I will go to today. So for example, my company is responsible for the technology that runs Lagos Ride, but you're not seeing me introduce myself as a smart mobility person here. I'm here as a facilitator speaking about product management. So yes, you are very correct. If you've gotten to a space in your journey in self-discovery and self-awareness where you know yourself, please own it and be proud of it at any point in time. One of the things I will also share with us before we move on, because time just seems to be running. If you ever study the Bible and you read the Bible, there are times where when God needs to make certain moves, he will introduce himself. I am that I am. I am Jehovah this. Why do you think he's doing that? Because sometimes you need that identity to be able to deal with the situations in your front. So I took a cue from him. Anytime I'm in the front,
Hi, Mr. Sumi.
I don't fail. I'm like, yes, but that's what it is. All right, Kinde.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Deyemi. Thank you for this insightful session. Well, when you ask that, when people ask you, what do you do or why you're doing that, there might be at times what people actually define you by is not actually who you are. So at times, if what people ask you to do doesn't correlate with who you really are or what you think you are, you should really pay close attention. And with that, you can readjust yourself and try to be really who you are. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we
Hello?
can hear you, Miss Kehinde.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
So yes, that is what I'm getting from the old discussion now. That yes, this is what, pay attention to what actually people are asking you to do. If it's something that really doesn't correlate with who you really are, you can actually try to readjust and reassess yourself. That is the way I looked at the why or what people ask you to do at times. Thank you.
You are very correct. Very, very correct. Thank you, guys. I'm loving this level of interaction. Hopefully, we'll be able to do justice to these slides in the allotted time space. So I'm moving on. So why are you building the products that you're building? These are key things you need to pay attention to. Number one, are you an opportunist or a problem solver? What is driving you? Is the benefit the motivation, or is it a reward? Let me speak about these two things, right? Because, if you are going to succeed in life, right? If you are going to be different in life, it's in the little and in the tiny things. It is not in big things, right? Let me tell you the difference between an opportunist and a problem solver. And there is nothing wrong with any of the two. An opportunist is someone that just sees a window of opportunity and seizes it. He's not trying to be a hero. Let me give an example of opportunistic ventures in Nigeria today. Fintech. Everything we've seen in the fintech space has been very opportunistic. Why? Because there was a flaw from the traditional banking sector and CBN that left a window of opportunity, and you saw everybody go in the same direction, right? But if you go into that space, you will see that despite all the funding that has gone into fintech, the core fundamental problems that are there have not been addressed thoroughly, right? What is driving you? This is also one of the biggest problems you are going to be dealing with in tech and when you are coming out as an entrepreneur. The idea of money, the benefit that accrues to being a business owner. If that is your motivation, then it may mislead you. Your motivation should be the value that you are putting on the table, and the benefit should be reward. Another thing you need to pay close attention to is, are you putting your time behind what people are willing to pay for? I hear people say a lot of things like, I am passionate about this. It is great to be passionate, but ensure that you put your passion in what people are going to pay for. Otherwise, you are going to end up frustrated, most especially if you don't have support mechanisms to take care of your day-to-day survival. I remember during COVID, my younger brother, who used to be a fashion designer, he came up to me and he was complaining, oh, business is not moving and all of those things. So I was looking at him. I said, business is not moving. I said, why is business not moving? It's COVID. The entire state was shut down. Nobody is going to a party. Nobody is doing ashwebi. Nobody was doing anything. And you're in fashion business. What did you expect? So I asked him, I said, in the last 6 months, what are the things you've spent money on? So he listed all the things he has spent money on. He said he has been buying credits, data, food, this, that. I said, that is what you should put your time into in this period, because that is what people are paying for. So you must be willing and ready to look at the marketplace as what it is, not what you wish it was. That is very important. If you find out a lot of rich people that you know today, they become rich first and then start pursuing their hobby. It's a thin line between passion and working for money. So understand what I'm trying to say here. If your passion is not something that the market is going to pay for, if you don't have support mechanism to help you survive, you are going to feel frustrated. So you need to put this at the back of your mind, very importantly, right? And also, you cannot give what you don't have. This is the essence of knowing who you are. If you are not someone who likes the company of people, you don't have any business in entertainment sector. If you are someone who values your privacy, you don't have any business being an influencer. The entire world might be making billions from being an influencer, but if your privacy is very important to you, you don't have any business in that space. You don't have any business getting married to an entertainer or someone who is in public sector or a politician, because you value your privacy more. So you must always pay attention to all of these things, because they form the building blocks of the decisions that you are going to make about a business or a product. Now I'm going to talk about this, dealing with competition when your boo has a boo. I love that song a lot because and I'm happy that I'm speaking with women. And I once asked one of my friends to say, do you deal with relationships the way you deal with business? Do you use the same business protocols? And she said, no. I said, aha, see, that's the problem. So business rules and emotional relationships, they are not different from one another. Your customer or your partner is your customer. So the same attention and level of details you will pay to your client or your customer is the same that you need to pay to your partner. But this is not a relationship counseling session. So the first thing you need to understand is that the marketplace is a very cold place. It deals in value exchange. It is value for value. If you go to the market, if you put 200,000 naira on the table, you will come out with 200,000 naira worth of goods. Like people will say, Yoruba people will say, if the soup is sweet, na money kill am. Obe to dun, owo lo pa. Soup wey sweet, na money kill am. Because that soup will have plenty things, plenty interesting things to, give you the flavor that you want. The question is, what is value? And throughout the course of this session, I'm going to be using this word a lot. So let us quickly just define what value is. Value is what the market is willing to pay for. It's just that simple. And it is your duty as a product owner and a business person and an entrepreneur to know for a fact what value or what the market is willing to pay for. Today, people are more willing to pay for convenience. And that is why you see that a lot of on-demand businesses are thriving. Today, value for people is they want to sit in their homes and everything should come and meet them. So if you are trying to build a business that requires people to leave their house to come and consume that business and service, and there is an alternative already on the table that brings the same service to meet them in their house, you know that you are missing something in the market, right? A few characteristics of value. Number one, you don't get to determine value. You don't determine value. The recipient of value is the person that determines what is valuable to them. It is your job and your responsibility to figure it out. And the best way to do it is to simply ask them, what do you want? You know, I once heard the story of two people who were newly engaged. So the man went out, went to work, and the wife called him on the phone that today I'm going to impress you. I'm going to make you a very great meal. She decided to make for her husband her best meal, her favorite meal. The poor man just wanted to eat plantain and eggs. That's all he had been craving the whole day. So when she called him to say, I'm going to make you the best meal of your life, she didn't proceed to ask what he will like. She just assumed that what she wants is what he will want. So she decided to go and kill goats. In fact, in the process of skinning the goat and everything, she cut her hand, pounded yam, and have plenty vegetable soup. But all the man wanted was plantain and eggs. And this is how some of us sometimes engage the marketplace. We engage the marketplace thinking we are the customer, thinking we are the recipient of value, thinking what we want is what the marketplace should want. No, it doesn't work like that. You must know for a fact what the marketplace wants. Value never goes unrewarded. You must acknowledge value when you come to the table. You see, this part is very important. And if you want to understand the importance of this, think about your body. Your body is a complex system of multiple parts working together. If you are walking on the road and you suddenly kick your left toe against a stone, all the rest of your body will come, bow down, and pat that leg. The eyes will not say, leg, were you blind? Did you know, was that the way I was directing you? Or the hand will say, no, you know, concern me, I want to face where I'm going. You can deal with your problem. So if you want to understand how to manage people when they are on the table, when you are working with people, just look at your body system. If one thing is out of place in your body system, your entire body system will know. That is why you say you are sick, or that's why they call it a disease, because you are not at ease. Even though you may not know that thing may not be as significant to you like your head or your eyes or anything. Just have small irritation in your nose one morning and you will know how your entire day can be a mess. So it is always very important that we know how to acknowledge value when we see it and when we're on the table. You must always learn to lead by your objective. And value is always connected to an objective. Remember what we said about people asking you to do stuff that is only connected to their own objective. So that is the value they place on you. All right. Now, competition only comes in two ways. One, that a customer is not satisfied and patiently waiting for a better option to show up. So that customer is there with you because there is no other option on the table. So they are there begrudgingly and disgruntled. And I'm sure we have a lot of business or a lot of experience with businesses where you are just there and saying that the day somebody else shows up like this, I am leaving these people. I'm not coming back, right? And some of us also, we've experienced relationships where we are just there sitting and waiting that the day I just see anyone that can treat me 1% better than this, I'm out. The second way that competition comes is that you are already satisfied. Then someone or something shows up and shows you a better value proposition that now creates a new level of dissatisfaction with your existing service provider. You see, this number 2 part is the one everybody should dread in life. You should never be in a position where your customer is feeling unsatisfied and therefore you are holding them or they are with you begrudgingly. If you really want to identify the competition, you want to know what to do, how to engage, those are the things you need to go and look for. You need to go and figure out what are the points of dissatisfaction in the existing service provided. Can you offer a superior value proposition? Can you do better than what they are doing? Can I vary the price points? Can I make the user experience better? What can I add or remove? What are they missing out on? Let me give you a very critical example. People today are talking about self-driving vehicles, right? And if you bring self-driving vehicles to Lagos, regardless of how cheap, how nice, and how sweet the idea may be, it is not going to be successful in Lagos. Why? Because the people designing self-driving vehicles are not Lagosians. They don't know that in Lagos, there is agbero, there is conductor, there is boss, there is human being that will cross the road waiting for you to wait for them. There is cow that can just suddenly stroll across the road. When they are building their system, they will build it based on what they know. So imagine a US company coming into Lagos and a Lagos company building the same self-driving vehicle. Regardless of how big that US company is, if they don't come in here to understudy the specific local nuances of transit pattern in Lagos, they will not succeed. So it is very important that we put this at the back of our mind as we try to approach building a product and building a business. So I'm going to quickly just recap this before I move to the second part of my session. So number one, you must know yourself, right? And there are a lot of things I can throw at us for you to just run them through in our mind so they can help us question and dig deep into who we are as a person. You must understand why you are building a product and be honest with yourself, because the marketplace is going to test your sanity. It will run you mad. Business will run you mad. And on that day, what is going to hold you, what will keep you together, will not just be something that is flimsy, will not just be, oh, I'm doing it just because I want to feel cool, or every other person is doing it. It has to be something stronger, deeper, and more meaningful than that. And the two things you need to keep at the back of your mind in analyzing your competition, it's number one, a satisfied person cannot be bought. It's just that simple. So your primary consideration as a business person is to ensure that your customer stays satisfied, and you make the switching cost very high. Meaning, if anybody is coming to try and take your customer, what it is going to cost them to take your customer has to be extremely high. And you have to keep your eye on value, because everything you are going to do revolves around value. Our time is fast spent, so please, if we have questions, let's note them down. I will just power through the presentation and then I can take our questions. Hope that is okay. So in this second session, I'm going to just basically run us through what we need to pay attention to when we are building the product or when we are building a business. Again, objective. You must have a clearly defined objective, right? Otherwise, anything, if you can't stand for something, you will fall for anything. So it is extremely important that you have that at the back of your mind. When you are building your product, you must be clear as to who the stakeholders are. Your stakeholders are all the entities that are required to interact with you in that business. Regulator, investor, customer, staff, every entity. And they have a role that they play. You must itemize their role, because that is what will determine what you are asking from each of the entity. And there is something they are expecting. Now, I've broken expectation into two. There is what you call hygiene value. Hygiene value is barest minimum. Let me give you an example. If you walk into a rich man's house, you just expect that they will have food. That is hygiene value. Hygiene value is, if I call customer service, I expect them to pick. That is hygiene value. There is no big deal about that. Do you understand? Hygiene value is, if I walk into a hospital, I expect the premises to be clean. That is hygiene value. A lot of us stay with hygiene value. The real meat of the matter, what puts you on top or what gives you edge in the market space, is the unexpected value, or what you call USP, your unique selling point. And I'm sure you'll be hearing this all the time. What is different about this product? What is different about you? What are you going to do that is different from what every other person is doing? So unexpected value is, you walk into a rich man's house and the rich man himself is the one serving you. That will bust your head. Most especially if you are not like his colleague or someone bigger than him, right? Unexpected value is, you call a customer care and the person says your name and is very polite. You are angry, you are shouting, the person allows you finish, says your name, we are sorry, and actually solves your problem, and you leave the call feeling good about yourself. And you need to be able to itemize all of this, because when you are building your product will feed into all of these things, right? You must use the MOSCO acronym to prioritize your features. MOSCO is must have, should have, and could have. One of the things you will struggle with when you are building a product is the temptation to want to do everything at once. You know, I want my app to be able to detect when people want to sleep and what is not making them sleep, and then determine what they see in their dream and when they will wake up, and then you've mumbled a lot of things together and you don't have clarity as to a pathway to go. If you do your stakeholder analysis correctly, you'll be able to tell what a must-have should be, right? I remember paying for a security solution and suddenly realizing that it does not have cloud storage. And I was shocked. I'm like, this is 2023. Who sets up devices, networked devices that does not have cloud storage? And because it's something I'm so used to, I didn't bother to check for it in the procurement process, right? Because in my head, I'm like, that is a must-have, you know, like who misses out on that? So you must know when you are trying to build a product, what you must have to start with. You should have is, you know, it feels good. I can have this, right? And could have is, you know, you are done with 1 and 2. You are now in the market. You are seeing how things are playing out. So you know what else to add to what you already have going on. I've mentioned this third point earlier. You need to avoid trying to solve for all scenarios, solving for everybody. First and foremost, if your business is for everybody, then you don't have a business. If your product is for everybody, then you don't have a product. You must learn to streamline and understand who is your primary target. You must learn to understand and come to terms with the fact that you cannot solve for all scenarios. You are a limited resource. Your product is not different from you. Your business is also not different from you. You are all a limited resource. You must accept that. Number 4, haste makes much waste. And a lot of us are guilty of this, including me. When I tell my people we have a product to work on, in my head, I want the product, I want it ready the next day. They will give me a time frame. They will tell me 4 months, and I'll be like, what? And then in the third month, I will ask, are we on course? And they will tell me yes. 1 week to the expected timeline, they will tell me they have to push the time by 2 months. And I will start raking, why this? Then they will tell me, oh, you know, you kept changing things in the middle and this and that. I'll be like, yeah, okay. But you could have told me, you should stop me. My point being, take your time to gather all your requirements. Your product requirement document, the PRD, is your biggest priority. Spend your time to ensure that everything is documented. You may not finish or exhaust everything at once. However, when you look at your stakeholder analysis, your must-have must be accounted for in your product requirement documents. That document should exhaust everything in your must-have before you even begin building a product. Learn to use Figma or other design tools for your prototype. Some people are not great with reading a lot of words. They are great, or they perform better when they can visualize, they can see what you're doing. So prototype, put it up there, take a look at it, see how it inspires you, or see the additional thoughts that it brings into your head. Also, if you have finished your PRD, you finished your prototype, and you can come back to it after several days, and it still stirs interest in you, it still makes you feel good, it makes you happy, then you have done something good. And it's funny how that is, because I'm not sure if we've ever been in that space where, so for example, artists, people who are in the creative space, you will see them write a song or draw something, and they look at it and they feel dissatisfied about it. So they have this perfectionist thing going on. That is not what I'm talking about here. I'm saying if you step away from the intensity of what you're trying to do, you've rested your head, you've calmed your mind, you went away. If you come back, and what you are seeing and what you are reading still makes sense and excites you at the same level or at a higher level as at when you were writing it or putting it down, then it means you've done something good. Number 5 is a warning. Too many hands spoil the broth. For some of us that said we are conformists, one of the things you are going to be dealing with is your tendency for acceptance. You want people to like it. Now, there is nothing wrong with it, but understand that there are certain things that are not meant for people to like at the stage where they are. Understand that there are times where you have to believe in yourself to say, this is the way I will go. This is the way I will deal. And then you go in that path, right? Too many captains will only ensure that the ship sinks. You must learn how to take leadership and ownership for the product, because don't forget, you are the one with the vision. The person you are talking to or seeking acceptance from does not have the vision. So on what premise are they standing on to tell you that what you have is good or bad or not good enough or too good or whatever it is? And I'm not saying don't take feedback. Take constructive feedback, engage and interact with people as much as you can, people who are knowledgeable in what you are doing. Ensure you get as much information as you can, but at the end of the day, always ensure that your objective does not change simply because someone does not feel good about what you're doing. If you are going to change your product, start first from your objective. Has my objective changed? If my objective has not changed, then stay on the path that you know, because you are the one with the vision. People were once killed for saying that the earth is spherical. I once saw a newspaper ad criticizing TV, that nobody's going to sit in the front of a box the whole day and be watching stuff. But I'm sure we all saw what happened to all of those things. And a very important one, rest. Rest, it is very important, because if you spread yourself too thin, you are going to be unproductive to both yourself and to people that depend on you for productivity. So it is extremely important that we put all of these things in our mind when we are building a product. So typically, this is a small summary of what a product roadmap will look like, right? You will have the internal roadmaps for your development team. If you have a tech team with you on site and wants to work, you will have a roadmap for executives. You will have a roadmap for your salespeople. So your roadmap will be different based on who the intended audience would be. But a key thing here, or key things to pay attention to here is provide as much detail as necessary for your audience, right? What you are going to say to a development team is completely different from what a business executive is looking for, right? They are not interested in the low-level details of your products. They are more interested in the high level and how it connects to the business objective. You need to keep it focused on short-term tactics and how they connect to long-term goals. You must review your roadmap on a regular basis and make adjustments when plans change. Make sure everybody on your team should be able to access it, so everybody has a shared vision and shared ownership of that project. And you must always connect with all your stakeholders as you move to ensure alignment. Again, remember, we started this by doing our stakeholder analysis, because the stakeholders are the ones you are building for. So don't go and stay with the expectation of yesterday, whereas your stakeholder has new expectation for today. So it is very important that we keep all of these things in the back of our mind. There are lots of tools out there that can help you out with that. There is AHA, Asana. There are lots of tools, product management tools out there that can help you with your product roadmap. Also, any project management tool, any tool, any Gantt chart tool will be able to help you with your product roadmap. So this is the last part of this session, right? And this is after you have built your product, you're now in business. And I hope we are familiar with the business model canvas. Every business will deal with this level of interaction. You must have the partners that are required to make that business happen, the activities, which are the things that you need to do, your resources, the things you need to put in place to make things work. You must have customer relationship, your customer segments, your channels. How are you reaching your customers? How are you distributing to them? How are you speaking to them, right? Your cost structure. What is costing you to deliver your key activities? What is costing you to get your channels of engagement to reach your customers? And your revenue stream, what is coming out from all of these? Value proposition, this is where your product is. So a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that when they build a product, that is just the business. No, it is one aspect of the business. Every other thing here still needs to be taken care of, and it falls on you as the entrepreneur or the business owner to be able to take care of all of these things. This is your responsibility as a business owner, to build a system that connects all of these things together so that that value proposition that you have can actually be benefited from and extracted as a value for the intended audience. So there are key things to note here. One, the only difference between success and failure is what is done with time. You know, there is a particular scripture in the Bible that I love so much. It says, the race is not to the swift, the battle is not to the strong, bread is not to men of means, blah, 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 but time and chance happens to them all. But we both know that today, it is the swift that wins the race, and the strong is the person that wins the battle. The difference is that everybody has time and chance. The question is, what are you doing with your time so that when the chance or the opportunity you are looking for show up, you will be successful? If you are practicing for relay race or you want to win the Olympics, and every night you are eating eba and amala and pounded yam, you definitely know that on the day of the race, you are going to be 10 out of 10, right? So what you do with your time determines the chances you will get. Number two, everything you will do on earth shall be done to, with, for, against, and by people. Shall you therefore not master the art of managing people? Relationship management is key to any business. The greatest asset or liability you would have in any business, in fact, in life, are the people around you. And your ability to manage them for your objective is extremely crucial. Excellence is not a spirit, it comes from practice. So stop praying for excellence. Get up and practice. Work. If you do the same thing all over and over again, it's a matter of time, you will become a master in it. You must know your numbers by heart. And when I say your numbers, you must understand your financials. And I'm not saying deep accounting, but you must know that you brought 10 naira into the business. And at the end of the day, you got 15 naira. How did you spend the 15 naira? It went this way. Do you understand? A lot of people are heavy on cash flow in their business, but they are not profitable and they don't know. It is your business to keep your eye on your numbers. Number 5, you must manage your expectations at all points. Expect the best, but prepare for all outcomes. And also understand this, given enough time, everything will eventually be all right. What this means is that you can become the richest man on earth or the richest woman on earth. It is just a matter of time. Question is, how much time do you have? Or the time that you have had, what have you done with that time so that you are qualified for your own expectations? Thank you, guys. I hope I've been able to get our minds stirred up in the direction of the learning focus. And so if the host will permit us, I'm open to take our questions now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tumi. We really appreciate it. This was an insightful session, I guess. So now it's time for questions and answers. Please, if you have a question, you can raise your hand, and you can also drop your questions in the chat box. Hi, Koforola.
To be sincere, I don't have a question. All I want to say is that Mr. Tumi, thank you so much. This is 1 hour, 30 minutes of not wasting my own time, and I have really gained a lot, and I pray that God will give you more knowledge to always excel and also give you strength to do more in your field and personal life. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Koforola. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. If you have questions, you can raise your hand and you can also drop them in the chat box. Our facilitator is more than ready to answer all of your questions. Any questions, please? Okay, Anulika has a question. Can go ahead, Anulika.
Hi, thank you so much. This was a really, really valuable talk. So my question is about the Moscow framework. So how do you sort of adapt it as you go on? So for example, with my business, I launched at the beginning of the year and had an MVP was kind of scrapped together. It's a tech business. And now as they're growing, I'm finding it more difficult to decide what's a must-have, should have, and could have, because we're past the point where it's just scrappy and now have proved a market, and so need to develop maybe a more refined product. But I'm just trying to figure out how do you make decisions about or adapt your Moscow framework as you're growing and trying to improve the product.
Okay, so let the market drive you. Remember what we said earlier about understanding and knowing what's the value or what value the market is willing to pay for is. You must let that drive you. So let me give an example. So you probably, in your MVP, you probably focused on functional stuff, right? Just let me get it together and let me put it out there. Now that you've put it out there, you are watching and you are seeing how people are using your products. In fact, you might suddenly realize that they are using the product in a way and manner that was completely different, or that is in variance with how you had intended for them to use it. So you must develop a keen sense of assessing and judging what the preference and the taste is in the market. So you always have to keep your eye on your product and the market. So I'll give you an example, right? When we launched Lagos Ride, we launched Lagos Ride with a ride sharing feature. But the way people were interacting with it was completely different from how we thought they would interact with it. So we had to shut that feature down, and we went back to replan and rebuild based on what we have seen that people are clamoring for, or what their preference is in the market. So what is the bias? People are fine with sharing ride when it is a bus. People are fine with sharing ride if it is keke. But in their head, if I order a car to come and pick me, why am I sharing it? They suddenly don't feel safe. In a bus, it's 18 of you, but this one is 2 of you in a smaller car, right? So as opposed to penalizing them or trying to force it on them, we decided to revamp it to say, okay, don't worry, you are not going to share rides with strangers. We want you to create a clique. You move with your friends all the time anyways. So the same thing, just come and do it here. So you must learn how to spot what the market is saying at every point in time. Emily, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. I just have a quick follow-up. So I have been conducting user interviews. I think I've, sort of I have a good sense of like my customers and what they want. But as I've been conducting user interviews, they're asking for certain things. And I guess my question is about like responding to what customers say they want, versus what will maybe like make money, and also like how do you balance between like customers saying telling you that they want something, versus what actually generates like revenue while still providing them value. So for example, we do live courses, like live online courses, which take a lot of resources to put together. What's more valuable is on-demand courses because they generate consistent revenue. But the thing that they say they want is community, and live courses provide that. So I'm trying to, figure out like how do you where's the sort of like middle ground, or how much do you take what your customers are saying they want into account versus providing them what they need and what is best for the business.
So let me tell you one of the funny things about the entity called customer. They always say that the customer is always right. But the annoying thing about that is that as a business person and as an entrepreneur, sometimes you know that the customer does not even know what they want. In fact, the customer can be so fickle that if you repeat the same thing loud enough in their ears, they suddenly will take it on and it will suddenly become what they want. So there is a science to it, and it is also an art, right? Typically what I will do is I will segment and see how deep the market is for each of those segments, right? So if on demand is going to give me more money, or what they are asking for does not look like something that will give me more money, okay, fine. But this other thing that I know will give me more money, they are not asking for it. So I don't lose both ways. I will split, provide something for you based on what you want, so I can retain you while I look for a way to start driving you in the direction of what I know will give me money. Because the simple truth is, the customer is oblivious to the cost implication of what they are asking for sometimes. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, that's really helpful, actually, especially with the segmentation thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that question and for the answer. Okay, before I take Ellen, there is a question in the chat box. Someone said, but I really couldn't get how to go about the stakeholder analysis and what it should have.
Okay, so first you must understand all the entities that are present in your business. Let's take a business, for example, restaurant business, right? Let us start. Who are your likely stakeholders? Number one, your investor. That investor can be you. It can be your family and friends that borrowed you money. It can be a loan or something you secured from the cooperative, or in fact, something you inherited from your parents. But the fact remains that they are the investor. They are the ones bringing in the initial capital requirements. So that is your investor. What is the role of the investor? The role of the investor is to bring in funds. What do they expect in return? They expect return on investment. That is that. Okay, in the restaurant business, are there regulators in the restaurant business? Are there unions? Are there professional bodies you need to belong to run that business? You must itemize that. Then, what is their role? Okay, as a regulator, they ensure that I meet all hygiene criteria. They ensure that my water is clean. They ensure this, and that. You list it. That's their role. What do they expect from me? They expect that I source water from a clean place. They expect that when I stock produce, I stock them in a particular way and manner so it doesn't get contaminated and all of those things. You list all of that. You go next into your, and then you can have internal stakeholders. Your internal stakeholders will be your staff. What do my staff expect from me? You rank them. Who are your external stakeholders? Your customers. Like that is how you do your stakeholder analysis. I hope that was helpful.
Miriam, I hope that answered your question. Okay, so Ellen has a question. Please ask your question, Ellen.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful presentation. It's a real eye-opener. And from this training, I have been able to see myself in the mirror as to what I am expected to do to maintain my business partners and the core value that I need to hold on to so that my clients will continue to hold on to me. Initially, when I raised my hand before I was logged out by the internet, I wanted to ask about the issue of this self-discovery and awareness. And from what I'm able to gather, is like the ritualists and the conformists, they are more or less together. They are the ones that are somehow loyal, they are stable, and they do not shift easily. Whereas the rebel and the non-conformant, we always want to know why they want to make a change. So I just want you to explain a bit more. I, as a business entrepreneur, I fall into one or two categories because I see myself in between. Sometimes I can decide to be loyal. It doesn't matter what anybody says. I will still be myself. And sometimes I see that with any change, and people say, let's go this way, I see myself going after them. So I cannot really say this is where I belong to, but somehow I am in between. So our customers too will definitely be in this type of situations too, that we will need to pin them down. Some of them will remain loyal to us irrespective of what we do. And some of them, with any other person bringing something better, they will shift away from us. So during the course of the discussion, you have pinpointed some areas how we can hold on to them. But I will appreciate if you can just give a little highlight on that. Thank you very much, sir.
Hi, Mr. Sumi.
Hold on, please. Give me 1 minute, please. Give me 1 minute. I'll respond.
All right. So I think while we are waiting for Mr. Tumi, I'm going to go ahead to explain what is in the attendance form. So in the attendance form, there is a question that asks if you have a case of fraud or misappropriation of fund, and there is the other one that asks that you should upload a audited bank statement or a good proof of stand from your bank. So for the Revup initiative, we'll be having angel investors willing to invest in 1 or 2 businesses. And part of what they said they need to follow up with these businesses is to check if the particular business they will wish to invest in has an issue with funds, or probably they've had an issue one time or the other on fraud. That was why that question is there. So it's a yes or no question. If you've had an issue with fraud or misappropriation of fund, yes. And if you've not, then no. Then the other one, you can reach out to your bank to give you your bank statement of account or a good standing proof of account from your bank, and you upload it to that form. So because of that form that you need to upload, it is not necessary you submit your attendance form today. We'll be giving you till tomorrow by 12 p.m. So get everything you need to get and submit your attendance form latest tomorrow afternoon by 12 p.m. Thank you. Mr. Tumi, are you here?
Yes, I am. Apologies for that.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Helen, first and foremost, there is no correct or wrong answer in those things. 1. Number 2, you can be any of those things at any point in time, depending on what your objective is, right? And I like one of the things you said, even your customers, they behave like that too. There are customers who just want the same thing. They don't want you to change the service level, either for good or for worse. They want their cup of tea with 2 cubes of sugar at the same temperature, served by 7 a.m. every day, right? And there are people who just want to try something new. The key thing for you as a business person is to understand what parts or where do you need to deploy this type of personality based on what you are dealing with. Let me give you an example. You're an entrepreneur and competition is coming. This competition probably has more money than you and is bigger than you. But you have local knowledge that they don't have. That local knowledge becomes your competitive advantage. If that local knowledge does not change, you are suddenly going to become a ritualist because you are going to stick to that local knowledge. You will keep repeating the same thing and doing it all over and all over and all over again because you know that is what works. Do you understand? But the key is for you to know so that life does not happen to you and you end up being surprised at the outcomes of your life. I hope that was helpful, Helen.
Very helpful, sir. Very helpful. I can understand, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Tumi, for that answer. So I can see the questions. Any other question from Mr. Tumi before he leaves us here? Any other question? Okay, before Mr. Tumi goes, please, I would like everybody to turn on their cameras. Let's take our pictures and videos like we do every time. Please turn on your camera. Kindly turn on your camera. You can also take screenshots because you'll be posting them on your social media pages later, and I'll be posting the pages you'll be tagging just like we do every time. Thank you very much for that. So concerning the questions on the bank statements, I'll call on Paradise to please shed more light to that. Hi, Paradise.
Hi, good afternoon, Adebola. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you
Good
so much,
afternoon.
Mr. Sumi, for your session. I was part of the session for a while before I dropped off. Well done, everyone. So yes, on the survey, it became paramount for us to include the part about fund misappropriation or any case of fraud, because it's part of our due diligence process. For some reason, we skipped it in the first form that was sent. We're so sorry about that. But it's very, very important for us to know if the businesses we are dealing with have had any case of fraud or funds misappropriation. So to make it easy, we need either of the two documents requested in the form. So it's either you upload a bank statement. It can be at least 2 years old, say for the past 2 or 3 years is okay, or last year. And or if you can't get an audited bank statement, you can just get a letter from your bank, a letter of good standing, just the bank saying, oh, you're their customer and this is that. I think that's like the easiest to easily get. And we need this to submit to the AfriLabs and Visa team on or before COB tomorrow. So that's why we are requesting that. I don't know if there are questions regarding that.
If you have any question regarding that, Paradise is here to answer you, please.
Sorry, if you don't mind, can I be excused now?
Yes, Mr. Tsumi. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you,
Really
guys.
appreciate you.
All right.
Okay, so Betsy, you have a question.
All right, thank you, Paradise, and thank you, Ms. Adebola. So I asked that in replacement for the bank statements for my own business, can I submit my business financials? Because I'm asking this, I feel the document you're requesting from us is more of like it's a verification document. So in replacement, can I submit my business financials since it has all the necessary information in it? Thank you.
Yes, that will work. You can. It's just for us to verify. Yes. So that
all
works.
right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Paradise. Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can. Hello.
Hi, sorry, the network kept going in and out. I didn't understand. I think I lost you where you talked about what we are supposed to be submitting in terms of the bank statements and what period we are submitting.
Okay, so basically it's just an audited bank statement for at least 2 years, and if you cannot easily get that before tomorrow, you can just get a letter of good standing from your bank. I think that's like the easiest, yeah, to get.
Sorry, when you say audited bank statement, what are you referencing to? Like, do you mean the entire bank statement for the business in the last 2 to 3 years, or?
So if you have for 2020, yearly, you're supposed to audit your account. So you may have for 2020, for 2021, 2022, 2023, any of these years are accepted. So if you have for any of them, it's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I think Ms. Kendi also have a question for Paradise.
Yes, please. My question is that if you don't have the audited bank statement, can you just send in your bank statement?
Paradise.
Sorry, I didn't get that question.
Can you hear me? I said if you don't have an audited bank statement, can you send in your bank statement for the last 2 years till date?
That
Would that be fine?
very, very, very long. Your bank statement might be running into 50, 60 something pages, except, well, if you have that, I think that should work, but I'm just imagining that it might be really, really long or very, very, with so many pages.
Yeah.
But yes.
PDF format, I think that should be fine.
Sorry,
because
I lost
the edited one for last year, hard copy. I only have the hard copy, not the soft copy.
Oh, okay, just submit what you have as far as your financial statement. As far as it's something we can use to verify that you've not had any case of fraud or fund misappropriation, it's okay, you can.
Okay. Yes, Abisola.
Thank you.
So my question is, the bank statement submission, can we submit tomorrow? Because it's attached with the attendance, I guess.
Yes, you can submit tomorrow, but that'll be
So that means,
before, at least, I think
can we
you
submit
have to
before the
12
close
p.m.
of work
tomorrow to
tomorrow?
submit it.
Because I need to transfer it to the accounting department so that they can prepare it and to be available for us to submit tomorrow.
Yes, you can submit you have till 12 p.m. tomorrow to submit it. So
Can
which
we
means you don't
ask
necessarily
the
have to
close of work
submit the
tomorrow?
attendance form today.
Okay.
So if you're unable to submit it today and you need to upload the document, you can send a DM to me on WhatsApp. I'll send you the link to the form so you upload.
Yeah, because the form, I've tried now and the form is refusing to submit without the attachments.
Okay, so if you're unable to finish your filling today, you can send me a DM and I'll send you the link to the form again. And you'll fill whatever it is you need to fill and upload and submit when you're done.
Okay, thank you.
Sure,
Sorry,
because
I have a question. What
that
if the bank
document cannot
statement
be
is not
gotten today.
audited and your business is also not up to 2 years? What are we going to do about it?
You can just, so if it's not for 2 years, but you have a bank account in your business name, just get a letter from your bank. And if it's also not audited, you can also send us your statements. It's still fine, the normal one. Yeah.
All right. All right. So that means we have to go to the bank to get that.
You can just call your account officer. You don't really have to. You can just call your account officer. They can just write the letter and send to you. It shouldn't take long, except you're using one of these olden days banks.
Really?
All right. I can actually download the bank statement, but for 2 years it's going to be, tedious. That means no problem. I will talk to my account officer.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. All right.
Okay, Ms. Rukayat.
My other question, sorry.
Okay.
Regarding this audited bank statement, so essentially what it means is that can we produce is it P&L? Am I showing you like the financials, what we made this year, what we didn't make this year, all of that? Can that also suffice?
It depends on how you can actually. That should also suffice, but I think that's even going through the longer route. It's looking like you now have to start going through a whole lot of process. If you can just get your normal financials, just say, oh,
That's what I'm saying. The reason why I'm asking is because that's what I know. I know the business has in terms of documentation. Because we use multiple bank accounts for the business, and there's been some transition between account officers and all of that. And before we get to whoever is handling our accounts by today, tomorrow, I don't know. That's
okay,
what I'm
so
asking.
since that's what you have, it's okay. We just want it to be as easy as possible for everyone. So since that's what you have, and you can tell us how funds have gone out and come in, so it's fine.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Any other question?
Hello, I was asking. Oh.
Yes, I need to.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
I
we can.
was asking if we can submit for personal account, business account. I mean, the
Sorry, I
letter
didn't
of
get that, Miss Miriam.
letter of those, and can it be for like the individual instead of the business?
I think we would appreciate the one
Instead
for
of
the business. If the business have a business account, so we want to believe that your business have a business account. So the letter should
not because
be
I just
coming
got
for the
registered.
business account.
Oh, we don't have a business account yet.
I didn't get that.
Like, we don't have a business account yet because the business just got registered.
Okay, so you're using your personal account for the
on the
business, then you
process
can
of
submit that as well. If that's what you have.
All right.
All right. Yes, Miss Kende.
Yeah, I need to ask the question of the questionnaire. You said, have you ever experienced like fraud or stuff in how